Hi, I'm Mimi Chan. Welcome to Culture Chat. Thanks for joining the conversation. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Culture Chat Tuesday. I had a fun chat with singer, dancer, and choreographer Nat Zangi today. We discuss her latest work on the Casio music video by Jungle. I love watching music videos, and it was fun to discuss the behind-the-scenes making of the video, as well as learning about her work in the industry. If you have not yet seen this music video, pause right now and check it out. The link is right here. It is guaranteed to move you and at the very least have you tapping along to the beat. Thank you to all of my loyal listeners. I appreciate you so very much. As always, if you could please help rate and share this podcast, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you'd like to support with a donation, you can do so on my website or patreon.com. For comments or suggestions, please email me at mimi@culturechatpodcast.com or reach out on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan. Now, on with the show. Hello, Nat. Thank you so much for joining me on Culture Chat today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, I am very excited to meet you. I have a little confession. So, ever since the premiere of the music video Casio by Jungle, my husband and I probably have watched it every night. And I'm not going to lie, we do get up and try to mimic this incredible dance choreography. Very, very poorly, I will say.
Thank you. I hope you have fun doing that.
Oh, well, because no one's watching, it's a lot of fun. But we are martial artists, so we love movement, and I have such a deep respect. I have had to choreograph shows as well, so I have such a deep respect when I watch something for all of the inspiration and the work and the choreography that goes behind things. So I think I see things very differently, So when I watch a music video, and my husband and I were kind of like kids of the 80s. So we grew up watching music videos. So we still like doing that. And when we saw, we love Jungle. And so when we saw, there's a music video, because actually we've never really watched a lot of the Jungle music videos. And I loved it. I mean, it was, first of all, it was incredible. So kudos to you on the choreography of it. But just watching just the way it came together, I noticed it was an all-in-one shot. I can only imagine the challenges with something so complex, because for me, watching the video, I like the fact that it looks really quote unquote simple and easy. And that's how I know it was really, really freaking difficult. So
yeah.
And I mean, obviously you have an incredible dance crew. The dancers on there are incredible. So I'm sure that made it easier. But what were the challenges like for actually that video in particular?
Before I got pregnant, I was actually touring with Jungle as a singer, which was really, really fun, but it made it hard because the dates for shooting, so the same with, I don't know if you've seen Heavy California and Cherry, I choreographed those videos for them as well, and they were all throughout or in between us touring.
Mm-hmm.
So Josh, who is also in Jungle, who co-directed it with Charlie, he was again also on the tour bus with me, as it's his band, and we were kind of like thinking of ideas on a bus or at some festival somewhere or some venue with like a tiny mirror, trying to like had Charlie back in London doing castings and trying to figure out like locations and all this kind of stuff, and us coming home for like maybe 3 days to get it in a rehearsal and shot before we like go away again, because like they wanted to get these certain release dates and we wanted it to be us that was going to do it. So so I guess the timing was just a bit mental. Like,
yes,
we didn't have as much time as we wanted, but like as you said, the dancers were amazing. Like that was a one rehearsal job. Like we did the whole thing in 8 hours and then were shooting I think the day after or maybe the day after that.
wow.
Like, so yeah, we pretty much did it really quickly. I choreographed the majority of it on the bus, like, which was mad because I don't know if you've been on tour buses. They're quite like
Yes, no, not
small,
so much
you know?
space. Not for
Yeah, not so
dance
much
choreography.
space. yeah, exactly. And I can't remember where we were coming back from, but I came straight back into rehearsals, taught it, and then my assistant Kane Clension, he also, like, without him there would be no work. He had to help me, like, just piece stuff together because I was caught in traffic, London traffic, on the way back. So I think time was the hardest thing that yeah, that could have potentially set us back, because also when you don't have a lot of time, or even time in between things, there was a possibility of, like, the director's not liking what I choreographed, or it not working, or in the space it not working because I hadn't seen the space properly, um which could have definitely made it, like, really bad, but somehow everything just pulled through together. So yeah.
Yes. Well, all of the videos are amazing. I have seen, of course, all of them. After watching Casio, we're like, oh, we now need to see all Jungle videos. And I love that one. I saw that you also, yes, sing with Jungle as well, which is incredible. But that, their videos are so central around the movement and the fun and like the dancing. Like most music videos really feature the band,
Yeah,
whereas this, some of the videos don't have the band members in it at all.
I think there's only one, two. Okay, so there's two music videos that have the band in it, um and then one other one with me. So they released Happy Man, and that had
Yes, that was you. You're
that had
featured.
all the band in, yeah, and I
Mhm.
was featured. Then they did a Happy Man director's cut, which was just me, and that was actually shot before I was in the band. Like, that's kind of how I got to know the band. I got booked through Charlie as a dancer to do that, video, and then Andro, who's now back in the band, was taking time off, and it just made sense for me to, like, flow into it. And then, yeah, I think it's that, and House in LA, actually, we're all in.
Mhm.
Other than that, I don't think there's anything, even prior to when I joined, anything that anyone else is in. It's all been dance visuals,
Yes, yes,
which is
it's
really cool.
it is really cool. I mean, especially one, they're employing a ton of dancers, which is awesome for dancers
Yeah.
around, right? But also I feel like there's something very special about the fact that their music is very danceable. And so instead of just featuring a band or, people singing or, kind of doing the usual, like dance is so visual. And so even though we love the music, like watching the video and then listening back to the music after watching the video actually does make it more enjoyable.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like earlier you mentioned, like, you said you felt like the choreography was quite easy and stuff, and it's like we kind of planned that because we wanted people to feel like they could, like, that's what we want, people to get up and dance and feel like they want to learn it at home, or like it's not so far out of their reach that it's like, oh, that's a crazy dance piece. We wanted it to be fun and energetic.
To clarify, when I say easy, I mean they make it look easy. By no means is it easy. I can tell you, my husband and I have not gotten it down. And the level of the dancers there are like, way up here. And we're like, yeah, we're just kind of like, keeping the rhythm. That's about all. But they
No,
make it
but
look so easy. But I know what you mean. It's like get up and dance with us. And it's not, but it is a lot of fun. They just make it look so seamless and easy. And I just love how it all comes together. I especially really can appreciate all of the little things, like the little movements on the upbeats or the small parts of the music that aren't so noticeable, but that you bring attention to. Like those attention to detail, I think, is what really stood out for me. And I watched it and I said, I must tell this choreographer that he or she is awesome. I will find out who that is. And you were so gracious to, respond back. And because I feel like, of course, the dancers deserve a ton of credit. By no means do they not deserve the credit. But if you don't put together a nice set and it's amazing choreography, then there's nothing for them to show in that sense, right? So I think that, it all starts with that. And so that's why I really wanted to reach out to you.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it was so easy to work with them as well because I had trained with the majority of them.
Okay.
Like, so we all knew each other very well. Or, like, for example, Jordan, who is actually the lead dancer in the Julia video,
Okay.
which was before me. He came back and did Casio, and like um, some of the boys in Casio were also in Heavy Cali, and like
Hmm.
it's kind of like we've got this like jungle dance family kind of
Yes, you
thing
do. You definitely
happening.
do.
Yeah,
It
yeah. So
definitely looks
that's
like a
cool.
fun family to be a part of.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
And in terms of you talk about dance and singing. I mean, so it sounds like you're both dancer and singer, but which one came first, or were you just always kind of were
Mm.
able to do it all?
I don't know. I was like, when I was younger, so when I was probably like 4 or 5. So my dad's a musician.
Okay.
He makes his own music. He's a guitarist. He makes Congolese music. So I've always been around music, like, and always
Wait,
like
what
to
kind
sing
of
along.
music?
So we're from Congo in Africa, DRC.
Oh,
So it's
amazing.
like, yeah. So he used to make in his day. He was quite, successful in the music that he made. Um, so I've always been surrounded by like him. He used to like force me to learn the guitar, which I obviously didn't want to do at the time, which I regret so much now. And yeah, I used to do like theatre schools on the weekend. So I kind of started singing, dancing, and acting all at once. And then I dropped all of that because I wanted to play football, which you guys play called soccer, I
Uh-huh.
think.
Yes.
And I just was like this tomboy kid. And then I hated my school and I wanted to go to a new school. So I auditioned for a like performing arts school in the UK called the Brit School and started training there as and did just happen to choose dance um and like happened to get in. Well, actually, I didn't get in for it straight away. I had to appeal. They didn't like me at first. I had to like push for that. So then, yeah, and then I got in, and then it was kind of dance. I was just doing dance for ages, dance, dance, dance. And as I finished my schooling there, I wanted to go on to get a degree, and I went to the Erdang Academy, which loads of the boys from the videos are from.
Ah, I see.
Excuse me, yeah. And they train you in musical theatre. So it was back to singing, dancing, and acting. So I guess like I think this is the thing about as well. A lot of people in training, like in colleges, you kind of get typecast, or you get pushed into a route, or you push yourself into a route. It might not necessarily be like your teachers or whatever. You kind of think, okay, so I'm good at this one, so this is what I'm going to do. So mine was like, I'm good at commercial dance. I'm going to do commercial dance, and that's that. Like um, didn't really focus on singing. Didn't focus on musical theatre. Didn't even like care about getting an agent with them. I just wanted to be commercial dancer, commercial dancer, commercial dancer. And then I was doing that. So I was doing like backing dancing, like for certain gigs and stuff when I graduated. And KFC actually happened. I did a KFC advert, and in the audition, they were like, so they were looking for people that could step,
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, cool. I'm just going to pretend I can do that. And then they said, can anyone sing? And I was like, yeah, okay. And then I sang, and then I got put with this group of singers, and then who all danced first, and then managed to get like a big singing part on this like KFC Christmas advert last
Okay.
year. And then I was like, wow, that's like the first thing I've ever been like paid to sing for.
Hmm.
And then yeah, it just kind of happened. So because of that, I had already been booked for the Happy Man video as a dancer. They knew I could sing because they had seen my KFC advert, and at the same time had a space going for a backing singing tour, like a backing singer on a tour. I'm just kind of like, well, yeah, I'm coming on tour, like, and
Well,
that's
so it all
kind of
kind of happened
how,
all at once.
yeah, that's how it kind of happened. Like, I wasn't ever really like, I want to be a singer. I want to be a singer. It was always I want to be a dancer, but you kind of just go where the money goes
Yeah.
sometimes. You
Yeah.
just, and like, yeah, so that's kind of how it happened. And then now I'm like really enjoying singing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, what we always hear about performance schools, of course, in the States too. They've got Juilliard, they have all these schools. And my only reference is the 1980s film Fame. And I was just wondering if
Yeah.
it's anything like that.
I mean, in terms of competition, yes. Do you know what? Like, no and yes, all at the same time. I mean, oh gosh. Like, yeah, I trained at the Erdang Academy, which was great. It We have like, I think there's this family essence because there's not a lot of you,
Mhm.
or like even in your classes, there's not a lot of you. But then there's also this competitiveness, which is healthy sometimes, and for me, sometimes not. Um, but I guess they just want the best out of you, and they want you to do well when you leave. So like, the training is intense. Like I always say to people, like, you can tell me anything because, or you can tell dancers anything about themselves and they don't usually get offended because you've been told you need to go lose weight as a casual statement, or you need to fix your hair and make sure you look good for your audition as a casual statement,
Mhm.
like, so we're kind of tough in the sense of like, we can handle criticism
Right.
very
You've got
well.
thick skin.
Yeah, we've got thick skin. But yeah, no, training was fame. Yeah, just like modern, I guess.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, I do. I love theater. I love going to Broadway shows and things like that. And I always look and think, gosh, it must be very competitive, because you look at how many roles there are, or how many places there are, even for in a dance company. Like, I imagine that it is a really competitive industry. Do you see that, you like everything just happened for you all at once, and that's sounds really fortunate, but I'm sure it wasn't that easy. Like, because part of being a dancer or an artist is like learning how to handle rejection and understanding like it's going to be no, no, no until you finally book the gig, or did it all really happen,
I got really lucky because while I was still in training, one of my friends who looks very much like me um, was already dancing for Rita Ora, and her opposite, which is like a lot of the time people that get booked that complement each other's looks in terms of like symmetry on stage or whatever, or like the vibe that they're going for this casting. Um, the person who was meant to be going with them dropped out last minute, so I got put on the job last minute, and that was my first job, and it was crazy, and it was like such a big job to have as a first job, which was good for me because it allowed me to meet the choreographer without an audition. Just can you passport details on WhatsApp, you're going on this job, kind of thing. And I don't think anyone actually realized how unexperienced I was at that point. But yeah, so I kind of got that, and then that was quite, I think I was like Christmas period, so I still had like a whole term or semester left at uni to finish. And then when it came to that, the auditions were going out for Rita Ora again, and I guess I had an advantage because I had worked with a choreographer before, maybe. I'd like to say I was pretty good, that's why I got the job as well. So then that was good for me because the the team were like kind of set in stone, like because some artists change their dances like quite often, or change their concept, or like what it is that they're trying to deliver quite often, because sometimes they might decide, okay, we want all men, or we want all females, or we want a mixed group, or la 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 la. So we were quite lucky that creative kind of stayed the same for a while, which allowed me to do like loads and loads of gigs and get loads of experience, and not actually have to be like looking, because a lot of other commercial dancers, you do a job and then you need to find another job, and then you do that job and then you need to find another job, and you're constantly floating around choreographer to choreographer, like job to job, different agents from everywhere, and like it can be quite hard to handle in that sense. But I was quite lucky in it was kind of like a full-time job that wasn't one, you
Mhm.
know
Right,
so
right.
I had that going for a long time, until I actually got offered the jungle contract, is when I left. So for me it was easy, but in terms of competition, I feel like, because I've got some friends who like were training with me who are amazing dancers and they just haven't made their break yet, and I think it can be down to so many different things. It can be down to, I don't know, you knowing someone. Like, even if I think about the Casio videos, they are all my friends in that video.
Hmm.
Like, as a choreographer, they're all my friends. I didn't have to do a casting. Well, we did one, but I didn't have to, like, because I could have just texted them and asked them if they were free to do it, because I knew I could work with them.
Right.
And like, I think the dance industry is so small that you have to get into it. I was lucky enough to have like been raised in London, seen a lot of people around me since I was a younger age, and had like connections, or people that would vouch for me. I think it might be harder for you if you're coming from outside of that bubble and like getting into it. Also, there's things that like are genuinely, things that are generally like nothing you can do about. For example, every artist that's auditioning right now needs boys that are taller than 6'1". If you're under 6'1", sorry, you're not going to get the job. Or
Right. You just don't meet the requirements. So,
yeah.
I mean, I see where what you're saying. Like, obviously, there was a lot of, things that lined up the stars and whatnot for you, and that you were really fortunate. But at the same time, people wouldn't want to work with you if you didn't have a good work ethic, and if you weren't
Yeah, yeah.
talented and you weren't good and you weren't like actually producing results. So yes, like you said, there are also amazing dancers that just haven't gotten their break. And so definitely knowing people, being in the right place at the right time, any entertainment business is like that. But I think to get callbacks repeatedly and to continue to work with people and get the extended contracts is definitely attributed to your work ethic and your talent. So you
I
don't
hope
want to, you
so.
definitely don't want to, you definitely don't want to cut yourself short there. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, we just really enjoyed seeing that, because there's a lot of music videos out there, and most of them are not so entertaining, or and it also goes along with the music, and they're not that great. No disparaging to anyone, because I actually think anyone that completes a project, gets it done, and does it, kudos to them, because I do know as an indie filmmaker how hard that is to just actually
Hmm.
create something and then do it. Whether it's up to everyone's standards. I mean, that's art, right? Everyone likes different things, but to get to that level and then to continuously work in that level is, there's more to it than just luck, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Something I did want to ask you about, and it's cool that, it sounds like, like you said, all of the cast members on that video in particular, you're friends with, their work ethic, what they're capable of. So it's not like you had to hold an audition. But I was curious about, that whole male to female ratio. Like in that video, it's pretty much all males, and so, and you see other music videos and different dancers and whatnot. And I was curious about what it's like being a female in the industry, because I feel as a dancer, you're like, okay, as a female in the industry, you can kind of gain respect, because of course there's male and female dancers, and I don't know what the equality is like there, but I know in choreography, like I did a little bit of quick research, especially in the States, and it just seems like mostly male dominant, choreographers in terms of getting that shot. So is there any play for gender that you've experienced?
Um, I think so with Casio. The reason why there's only one female meta is because there is a storyline in that she was, the hot girl in the club that he wanted to go and talk to. So he was hanging out with his friends, and that's just kind of how it worked
Of course.
out. In regards to, it's actually quite interesting, because on that job I was talking about, my first job, I was the only girl with 4 boys touring, 5 boys doing that job. And I've
Mhm.
never really thought about this until right now. I think, yeah, it's true. There are a lot of male choreographers, but then also thinking about things logically, like, so now I'm pregnant at the moment. And there are things that come into a woman's life that make self-employed work very, very complicated to maintain. And I think so I haven't worked with a lot of female choreographers. I've worked with about 4 or 5 in comparison to the like 10 or 15 like male that I have worked with or come across. And I genuinely do not know why that is. I think maybe even for me, like, because maybe like I'm pregnant now, so it means I'm not dancing right now. And I'm sure taking dance contracts after this will be quite complicated because of raising a child and being in a different country at the same time aren't usually the easiest thing to do. And maybe that could have, like, literally nature could have a a, a toll on like why women don't stay, because usually as well, so I was blessed to get a choreography job quite early in my career.
Mm-hmm.
Most dancers would dance for people for ages, become someone's assistant, do the choreographer assistant thing for a long time before you get respected enough to be employed as a choreographer. So yeah, I feel like I got given my choreography shot like really early in my dance career, um, probably because of the connection that I had with the band I was working with, and that was really really good for me. But also, so in the long term, because usually it takes dancers quite a long time to become recognized choreographers, like to be booking it professionally, that takes a lot of time. And if some people aren't, like, I'm talking like maybe you've been working as a dancer for 10 years almost, and if you started dancing at 21 as a woman and you want to have kids, and you have kids within that time frame, that takes you away from then maybe being able to become a choreographer,
Right, right.
you
The
know,
opportunities
because
aren't there if you're not present, of course.
yeah, if you're not there, if you literally physically can't be in the room, if you manage to do that before, like, I'm not saying that kids are definitely the reason, but I'm just thinking about like how things have been for me. I was lucky enough to get certain things out of the way before having a child. And um I know that there's a lot of girls in the industry that get up to like 30s and they haven't had children yet because they've put their career first. And those are the people that might have started doing the assisting things when they get to like maybe 26, 27, and then like from there things go. And if you tap out of the industry, like, I feel like the dance industry doesn't wait for anyone. If you tap out, you've tapped out. You really need to stay relevant. There are like hundreds of dancers graduating every year who can do what you can do, and they're younger than you, and they're more appealing to like the world of whatever. So it's like you really have to stay relevant. And if maybe that is a reason why women don't choreograph as much, maybe
Mm-hmm.
it that's the only thing I can think of, because there are some dope female choreographers that like teach, and they're amazing, and it is true that I don't see them on as much
Right,
projects.
right. Yeah, well, hopefully that will change in the future. You never know. You
Hmm.
never know. So I would like to go back to this image of you guys all on a bus and you actually choreographing on the bus. So, I mean, are you actually getting up and trying to block out movements on the bus while you're on tour? Is it more like you sit down with pen and paper, you kind of map people out? What's kind of your creative process?
No, legit, I was on the bus standing up trying to make choreography up. And then so with jungle, so it's quite nice to work, because so Charlie is literally one of my best friends
Okay.
anyway. So working with him has been great because he understands me and I understand him. And then working with Josh is great because I was living with him basically at the time. So he can tell me his idea, I'd go away and think of something to match that idea, and then he'd be like, no, I don't like this, or I like this, let's do that. So we're all very much, because we're so close, we can all just literally pick up the phone and talk to each other. It's not got that professional, I'm going to write an email and send you a treatment about this and blah, 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 you know. Well, obviously Charlie did do a treatment, but I mean, I didn't have
Yes.
to go that formal about things.
Right, right.
um and yeah, definitely because of the time I was in front of the little toilet mirror upstairs trying to choreograph, and then getting Rudy, the other singer, to film me so I can remember everything. Um, and then getting into the studio, and I think we got into the studio like an hour before the dancers came, so I could go through everything with my assistant and be like, is this even okay? And then like tweaking one or two things, because he's like my biggest critic, which is great. And then he'll just be like, no, no, and then we'll just fix things together, and then boom, straight away taught it, and it happened. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, you make it sound so easy, but I think there must have been some sort of kismet in that one because it really did all come together. And I do love all the videos, but there is just something special about that one for me for some reason. And I don't know if it's because it's the all in one or just the setting and or it's just I don't know. I really loved it. And who is Julia?
Isn't that a good question? That's a question for the boys. I didn't write that song, so
Yeah.
that's a question for the boys.
And Julia comes up a lot,
Yeah,
actually, in jungle music.
yeah,
Because my
yeah,
husband's like, wow, that's just really smooth. If this whole video is like, call me Julia at the end, he's like, that's the best, asking someone out ever if that this whole video was created for that. Because at that time we hadn't really seen or heard the other ones that refer to Julia and stuff. So
yeah.
he was pretty floored. He doesn't pretend to be like slick or suave or anything like that anyway, but he's like, wow, that's pretty smooth.
Yeah, I'm not gonna comment on that because that is the boys' decision.
All right.
It's
I
not
will
something to
probably
do
have
with
to harass them about it one day. It's just
them. Yeah,
everyone's curious. I'm sure it's not the first time they've gotten that question either.
it's all. I was actually looking at the comments. It's all over the comments. Like,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. That's not me. That's not a me thing.
I figured, but I thought I have to ask, So, um, and I'm actually really curious because I know the little small scale projects that we've worked on, and I've had to listen to songs over and over that we're choreographing to for Kung Fu. Do you ever get like really sick of the song? Like, this one seemed like it went really quick? I mean, of course, we all love jungle music. We're never going to say that we're tired of it, but even from an artist perspective, I've talked to artists on about their music, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, by the 800th take in studio, I'm a little worn. So, like, what's the process of keeping that inspiration up for something you're choreographing to? Not necessarily Casio. It seemed like that one went quick, but were there projects where you've had to choreograph and like listen to something so much you just had to like step away, or how do you kind of combat that?
Well, I was also touring the songs at the same time, so
Right,
singing
right,
the
singing
songs
them.
every day. So yeah, I've listened to those songs a lot of times in my life. Um, but I think what's interesting is like I only toured for maybe April to October, maybe like 6 months with the songs,
Hmm.
which allowed me to understand, especially because listening to music live and listening to music on like in your headphones is like a whole different thing. So earlier you mentioned like there was certain parts of the music that I was able to pick out, and I think that's because I can hear that I've heard them in so many different ways or heard
Hmm.
them so many different times that you can do that. Also, I feel like dance right now with the people that I were training with, everyone's musicality is just crazy. Like you'll dance to counts that you didn't even hear until you listen to the song over and over again. And I think, yeah, you can get, like maybe now after the projects are done, like I wouldn't put it on my phone as I was driving home as an option to listen to.
Right.
But at the time, I don't think I'd be sick of it whilst working on it because I'm looking for things. I'm trying to find things
Right, right,
to
right.
work with, you know? So, yes and no.
That's fair. It's completely fair. I know it's a horrible question, but
Yeah.
so when you are doing dance and dance choreography, are you very your style? Is it very collaborative? Like, do you like to hear from the dancers? Like, oh, tell me your take on this, or do you want to add flair? I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Ever since the video, I think there's not maybe a day that's gone by. My husband and I don't do this little to each other. Which is this little people who aren't seeing the YouTube channel, like it's just so there's so many cute things in that video, but um how does that work?
So, in terms of like talking to the dancers, I feel like different videos, yes, and different videos, no. So, for example, Cherry was based on me freestyling while we were on tour in some hall that we found next to one of the venues in Salt Lake City. And Josh had a drone because he just loves, he's like a gadgets guy, and so he shot it from on top. And then when he was looking at the footage on the bus later on his laptop, he reversed it, and that's how we were kind of like, oh my god, cool, we can do this, because it makes it have this crazy effect. So now in doing that, it, it was quite a challenge for me to choreograph something that makes sense backwards to a song backwards that would then make sense normal. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I know
um
because I've seen the video. For listeners, you need to go and watch all the videos anyway because they're awesome. But this will make a lot more sense when you watch Cherry.
Watch it. Yeah, so it's basically like when you watch the video, it going the right way round.
Mm-hmm.
However, you can tell by like Naomi's hair movements flying backwards that, oh, that's been rewound, like that's in reverse. So when we actually rehearsed it, we rehearsed the whole track backwards, and it was like Ishla. It sounded really weird. And it that happened, and so we workshopped a lot of ideas, filmed them, reversed them on our phones, saw what looked good, changed things. And that's kind of how it works, because there was a lot of partner work involved as well. There was a lot of freestyle, which is why, again, it was cool to work with dancers like Che and Naomi and that, who were down to just try whatever. You know, they didn't really hold back on just being like, okay, we're gonna just climb on top of each other and roll around and be weird for a bit. Like everyone was quite comfortable with each other, which really worked. And I would love to always have a creative process like that. However, for example, Casio, one day of rehearsals, no time to hear what you have to say, really, you know,
That
like
makes
it's
it
just
even
kind
more
of,
incredible to me, though.
let's just get it done. And then it's also cool to know that like they could just be like, yeah, cool, this is what we're going to work with, great, picked it up amazingly and just did it so well. Like
Mm-hmm.
the fact we weren't even planning on doing a one take. Heavy California is actually a one take too, but some people don't know that. They think it's not because the swipes to the sky, they think that's where the cuts are. And it's like they were put there in case we needed to cut.
Okay.
But we actually didn't even, that's the last take we did of the whole day, and we actually didn't need to cut it. Like we were like, wow, like forget everything else, let's just do that.
Wow.
And I think that's just the way kind of my brain works in terms of getting things done as well. Like I just go from start to finish. So then it all, because some people work in different ways. Like when they choreograph, they might like this part of the song better, so they do that bit first,
Okay.
and it might not actually work going straight into something else. Oh, sorry, someone called me. But
That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. So I've gone off topic again. I
That's
talk too
okay.
much.
No, you're doing great. Just take a breath.
Yeah.
No, you're doing great. It's all of this is so fascinating to me because, like I said, I'm a big fan of not just the music, but I love movement, and I particularly, have such a greater respect for it because I know how much how much work goes into it. Like you said, even though you have all the moving pieces, it still takes a lot for it to all come together. So is there like, huge celebration on the wrap up, and do you guys do like a wrap party where you guys all watch the video when it's done, or is it just like you
Do you know
guys
what?
move
I
on to the
wish
next
we
project?
did. I wish we did, but everyone's so busy.
Yeah.
Like getting everyone in the room for those days were even like a really well done job, you know, because
Right, right.
everyone that we worked with is doing so well in their careers individually. So it's kind of like, yay, it's a wrap. Everyone eat everything that we've got left to eat, and like maybe go for a drink. Some of the people are underage, so maybe we won't see you
Really?
there. Yeah, like Jay's 17.
It's a very young dance crew. I mean, to see all the movement, I'm like, wow, it's a youth thing because
Yeah,
I'm in my
everyone's young.
40s. So is there any hope
No
that I
way. Oh,
is there any hope that I
you
can
look
do
amazing.
is it Will or one of those guys in one of their moves now?
Of
So
course you
yeah.
can. I might make a tutorial for you so you
Okay,
can learn
don't offer that because my husband's like, so are you gonna ask Nat if she can do a tutorial? I just want
it.
this one step. Like we just have this like hope in our minds, like we'll be able to do like 1% of the video and we'll be like so happy. But in all seriousness, like just kudos on all the videos and the work that you've been doing. I actually want to switch gears though and ask you about your Congo background because you're the first person I've ever met with that really cool cultural background, and I'd really love to hear a little bit more about the culture and you know the transition to London and how, how that, because this is culture chat. So, I'd love to
Well,
hear more about
yeah.
it.
So yeah, basically, my I wasn't born there though. I'm
Okay.
actually very British. Like,
You sound
I can't
British,
even
but
speak my language, which is really sad. However, my dad was born in Congo. I think he came to the UK 2 years before I was born.
okay.
I have loads of brothers and sisters, like prior to my mum, who are all Congolese. So I was very much like the English child in the house, you know?
Hmm.
And yeah, we are all big music heads. We are all into dancing. Like our family parties are very much parties, you know? And like our Christmases were always speakers on full blast. Like a lot of the music comes with dances as well, so you'd kind of know them, and it's all about like
Really?
your waist and
Yes.
like everything's quite, I don't know, it's fun in that sense.
Yes, yes.
um I've been I don't know, I feel like being from Congo is pretty cool because it's nice to have like a different culture to relate to as
Hmm.
well,
Hmm.
like especially being mixed race in the UK. It's like it's cool to be able to know that there's this whole other world that you're from, even though
Hmm.
you're definitely from here,
Right,
that you
right.
can go to, you know? It's just a shame that there's so much political stuff
Ab-
happening there at the moment
Absolutely.
that it makes it quite hard to go and visit.
Yes. Have you been to visit though in the past or no, because of the,
No, I haven't.
yeah.
Literally, I haven't. And no one in my family has been there since they've come here.
Right. But it is nice to feel, like you said, that cultural connection of something like tradition and it sounds like for you all, music plays a huge role in that, and with just not just the music. And I understand what you mean. I'm actually, my mom is she's Chinese, but she's born and raised in Jamaica, and most of my cousins, everybody's Jamaican. And so it sounds like very similar parties, a lot of music, and a lot of
Yeah. Do you know
stuff
what? No,
going
people
up.
always say Congolese people are the Jamaicans of Africa
That's so
because we're
funny.
quite similar with our I don't know, out there image, you know. We're very loud and bright and colourful hair and colourful outfits and
I love
do you
it.
know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm always interested in food. Is there a particular type of food that's specific to that culture, or anything that?
Yeah, we have a lot of like dishes served with rice, you know. Like so like oh gosh, I don't even know how to explain them in English. Okay, so for example, like I remember when I was younger, I hated Congolese food. I hated it so much. My dad makes a joke out of it, so I'm going to say it before he ever says it out loud. I used to eat rice and ketchup when I went to his house because I was too scared to have like seasoned food, you know?
Hmm.
Someone's going to hear this and completely take the mick out of me. But yeah, and it took me a long time to get used to all the flavors. Like my favorite thing is this dish called pondu, which is like a mix of loads of vegetables kind of stewed together,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you can have it with like rice or like any kind of carb thing.
Hmm.
Like we eat like fufu, we have like jollof rice, which is like, I guess the whole of Africa claims they own that. You know, like the fight for who made that. We have like loads of different dishes, but a lot of things are kind of like how to like curried. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So very
yeah,
seasoned. Is it spicy also?
yeah, it can
It can
be.
be.
It can be. It
Okay.
depends on your preference of cooking,
Right,
but
right.
yeah,
Okay. Well, it sounds delicious. So I will look more into it now that you've
it's
given me
great.
some dish
Congolese
names.
food is great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's. I always love hearing about food. It's kind of, my listeners are like rolling their eyes now because I don't know if there's one person I haven't like attacked about. So tell me about food in your culture. But I
Yeah.
mean, food is so it's something I feel like that also with art, like music and all that, brings people together. In today, especially where so much is bringing us apart, I feel like the more things that we can have to connect to one another is good. And food and music are two for sure things. I think that definitely does that.
100%. And it's actually quite interesting because when we were touring America, I don't know if it was just me or where we were, but I feel like their food culture is pretty bad in comparison to like London's. Like we have, so for example, you say you've got like Chinese culture and Jamaican culture.
Hmm.
We have Chinese restaurants everywhere,
Hmm.
Jamaican restaurants everywhere,
Yeah.
like all kinds of foods everywhere you
Hmm.
go, right? And I remember being in certain parts of America where all I could really access was fast food or Mexican or maybe sometimes Korean food. But I remember looking for a Caribbean shop for ages and not finding it, or like I just wanted like some jerk chicken and
Yeah.
could not get that delivered from anywhere. I was
Oh,
just like,
Lord, that's
yo,
terrible.
they need to step up. America needs to step up with the takeouts. Like they're not they're not that great.
I definitely think it might be the different cities that you went to. Some places in America have good multicultural foods, but like even where I am in Orlando, Florida, we have kind of a handful of places that you have to know where to go. They're not easy to get to. So I agree. The London food scene is fantastic. I'm kind of a big foodie, so when I was in London, I was like hopping around from place to place, and I was literally I told you earlier off air, I was like literally running out of cabs to get to places, and most of them were food related places. So I'm all about the
Yeah.
food, and yes, you guys have a really nice scene with food, but also it's all like compressed. Like there's so much in such a small radius.
Yeah, and I think that's because London's a very big melting pot of different
Hmm.
people,
Definitely.
like in one place. Like there's not there's just everyone. Everyone's here. So many people are here. So many different types of people are here, which makes it quite cool. And I guess that's also another thing that influences a lot of art in London, because I feel like you could be like white British, or you could be from Nigeria, like your parents could be Nigerian or something, or you could be like Jamaican, but you've gone to school with like all of these other people, and then you kind of get their culture and they get your culture, and you're all just kind of like this big mix of what makes you from London. Because
Hmm.
I think it's different outside of London as well. Like some cities that are like kind of less diverse have a different vibe.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit mad.
Yeah, no, I love the diversity. Obviously, um, we could all use a little bit more of that because we all take from each other's cultures and all love to experience different things. But I do notice also in um in the jungle videos and everything, there's just like huge diversity in your cast and stuff too. And I guess it's just because like that's who you all hang out with. That's your jungle family.
Yeah, and do you know what? Actually, I want to make a point of this. I can't remember where I saw it, but someone was asking about the lack of black women represented in Jungle's videos.
Okay.
And I actually had to think about it, and I was like, oh wow, yeah, there aren't a lot. Like I think, yeah, there just genuinely wasn't a lot. There's a lot of black men, but there
Hmm.
wasn't a lot of
Right.
like black females, or like Asian females, or And I sat down and I really, really thought about it, and I was kind of like, with what's going on right now with like cultural appropriation and I feel like there's a lot of companies or creative visuals that get put out where people have to really, really think about what they're doing. Because, and personally, I feel like if you have to really, really think about what you're doing in terms of the people you're booking to work for you, it's because there's a problem within what you're doing in general. And I think to respond to that person who asked that, it's genuinely probably number one because those are the people we just wanted to work with, and those are the people they just happen to look like. We didn't do any of our casting based on okay, so we need one black person, one Asian person,
Right.
one Caucasian person, blah, 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 to make sure we tick off like all of the categories to make this like okay. It
Hmm.
was kind of like, we're going to get the best of what we can do and make that work. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
if that's what that person turned out to be, that's who they turned out to be. There was
Yeah.
no kind of like racial discrimination put in place to like not book a black girl, like or to make sure we had loads of black boys as opposed to having white boys, because we don't have a lot of white boys like at the same time. So it was just, yeah, just wanted to highlight that actually, because I didn't want to be misunderstood.
Of course, and when you're in the public eye, that's very common to be misunderstood and everything. And you'll have many more videos ahead of you, and however casting goes, I'm sure it will go. But like you said, you really are looking for. Sometimes there's casting, like you said, for Casio, it's like, okay, all guys. There's only going to be one central girl in this, and that's the theme of the story, and it's just however it plays out. But I think you're doing a great job. So if you start trying to listen to too many questions and critics, then you could just go crazy. So
Yeah, exactly.
definitely just keep on it. So what's next for Nat Zangi?
Well, Nat
Other than
Zangi is
congratulations, a
currently
big baby coming along the way.
yeah. So
That's
I'm
big
6
news.
months pregnant. I'm actually about to go on tour in the next 2 weeks, which will be my last tour, with Eliza, a singer, to do backing vocals with her. So that's kind of like my last thing before pregnancy. And then I'm just going to be a mum for a bit, Like, I just
Absolutely.
want to be a mum and have a connection with my son. And I think after, when I come back, I'd love to purely choreograph, I think, because touring is probably quite difficult. I wouldn't want to like just leave my baby all the
Of
time.
course, of
So
course.
I want to just be London based, or at least UK, Europe based, um, for the next couple years. And I think choreography is like something I've really, especially for like videos, like it's something I really like to carry on pushing myself with, and meeting up with different people and seeing what kind of things we can think of, and you know, so that's the plan.
Sounds good. And it'd be nice when you're not on a bus choreographing as well.
Yeah, see what I can actually make when I'm not under immense stress. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
yes, sometimes working under stress is what drives us. So it will definitely be interesting. But I'm sure whatever you do, it will be absolutely fabulous. I congrats to you, of course, and your upcoming little one, and I'm excited to see what else you're going to be doing in the near future. And I know whatever it is, it's going to be fabulous, and I'll definitely be watching. So thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining me on Culture Chat.
Thank you so much for having me. So nice to finally meet
Yeah, likewise.
you.
And my husband Oscar and I are looking forward to our personal tutorial for the Casio
I will get
choreography.
that to
So
you. It may not be soon because like I am so big right now. However, we will definitely get this.
I know, but people listening, definitely follow Nat on Instagram and her other social media, which I will link here, because there is a video of her doing full on choreography while pregnant. So for those of you that say, all these things have to stop you, let me tell you, she moves better pregnant than I could ever move in general for dance. So I think people need to take a look. So definitely follow her on her Instagram, and I'll link anything else here for any upcoming things that you'll be having, and of course all of the jungle fun jungle videos and music.
Thank you so much.
All right, it was lovely to chat with you today. Thank you so much, Nat. That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to Culture Chat, and hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please subscribe and rate my podcast. Feel free to leave me suggestions or send an email to mimi@culturechatpodcast.com, or follow me on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook.